so long, but I am back now and I'm bringing you more school psychology videos and I'm excited about it. So for those of you who are new here, I am Brandy, also known as Be the School Psych, and welcome. Today's video is going to be about the IEP meeting. So I know a lot of you want to know exactly what we do in the field. And one of the things that we do a lot is attend IEP meetings. IEP is Individualized Education Plan, and that is for the student. And I'm just going to go over every aspect of the meeting so you can get an idea of exactly what to expect as a school psychologist when you have to attend an IEP meeting. So I'm just going to give you a little rundown of what we do. For an initial IEP meeting, we all come together as an IEP team. The IEP team includes the school psychologist, administrator, so usually it's the principal, the parent. For high school, usually the student is included, sometimes middle school for 8th grade if they're transitioning. We have the general ed teacher that comes, and we have the special ed teacher that comes to the meeting, okay? So we're all coming to the meeting. We're all sitting in maybe like a conference room at a table. Everybody comes in prepared with their paperwork or things that they're going to talk about during the meeting in regards to the student. So when we initially come in, introductions are made, introductions of the team members. So we go around the table and we introduce ourselves. Hi, I'm Brandy. I'm the school psychologist. I had the opportunity of working with your child and conducting the assessment. And I go on like that. It's just a brief introduction. And then we go around the table and everybody makes states their name and their title. So once we've made our introductions, then we go, usually the meeting is ran by the administrator. So at my meetings, the administrator usually leads the meeting and goes over each item on the agenda. So the next part is review the purpose of the IEP meeting. So the purpose of the IEP meeting is, it's an initial IEP meeting. We're going to come together and talk about whether the student qualifies for special education services. Now, if it's a triennial evaluation where I am also in attendance at that meeting, the purpose of the meeting is to reevaluate the students' needs, to determine if they still meet the requirements for special education services. The next part of the meeting, we go over the parents' rights and procedural safeguards. So that's basically a packet about this thick that you give to your parents, and it has all their rights as it pertains to the special education process. Okay, the next area that we go over is the student's strengths. So this particular area, anybody on the IEP team can say, talk about the student and the strengths. So usually the general ed teacher will come in and lead if it's an initial. And that could be something like, Johnny does well advocating for himself. If he needs help, he'll raise his hand. You know, some of the strengths that I can chime in and say, you know, Johnny is a very cooperative young man. During the assessment process, he tried his best with answering the assessment questions. He put his best foot forward. He was able, he engaged with the examiner, holding a conversation. Just different things that are positive about the student is what we typically say during the IEP meeting. Okay, so we first talk about the student strengths, then we come in and then we ask the parent what concerns that they have in regards to their child's educational performance, or what concerns do they have about their student overall as it pertains to school and their academics. So parent usually will come in and say, Johnny is really struggling in reading. He's having a hard time retaining the information. I can notice when we're at home doing the work that he's not able to do the homework. He's really struggling with understanding. All right, so the next part is, after the concern, we review assessment. So for the initial, usually it's just myself that will have the assessment that is reviewed. The special education teacher will also review the academic testing and their assessment. So I will go over my results of my comprehensive assessment. I will tell the parent whether the student met the criteria for whatever disability that we're looking at, like a specific learning disability. Yes, they met the criteria, and I'm recommending that they receive special education services under a specific learning disability. The triennial reevaluation for a student like in a moderate severe program. So they're in a special day class all day, and they have a special ed teacher. They're not in general ed, and they have other services like maybe occupational therapy or adaptive physical education, or they're getting speech services. Those providers are also at the meeting for the reevaluation. So not only will I do my assessment, the occupational therapist will do their assessment, APE, adaptive physical education, will do their assessment, speech will do their assessment. And those meetings typically take a little bit longer because everybody has to go over their portion of their assessment. Okay, so once the assessments are all reviewed, you ask the parent if they have any questions about the assessment. So then next part is looking at developing the goals and objectives. So the teacher will come in and read the goals that they developed for the student to let the parent know, okay, this is what we see that Johnny needs help in. This is the goals that we're going to work at to see if we can get him where he needs to be. And if it's a triennial assessment, a triennial IEP meeting, the other service providers will do the same thing. OT will come and present their goals and objectives, speech, APE. And then after all of that, we ask if the parent is in agreement. Do they have any questions? Then we go into looking at, for an initial, we look at the special ed services. So we look at the continuum. Does the student need RSP, which is the least restrictive environment? So they'll be in a general ed class most of the day, and they're pulled out by a resource specialist program teacher to work on their goals, to work on any work that they need help on. And so they're in general ed 90% of the time, and then 10% of the time they're having RSP support. Now, I just said 10% of the time. It depends on the student. So the teacher may go into the classroom and provide the service, or the teacher may pull the student out and have the students come to their classroom and work on whatever they need to work on, however many days of the week, so however many hours that student has in particular. So it just depends on each student on what they get, what service they get based on their individual education plan. The next part of the continuum is a special day class, a mild moderate program. So they're not doing well in general ed, like they're behind several grade levels. They're not able to keep up. So then we look at a special day class. Okay, let's put the student in a special day class, which is a mild moderate program, where we're able to, smaller class size. We're able to work on the students' goals and objectives and work at their level. Not so fast paced like general ed. You're just, working at the student's level and being able to provide them with as much support as they need, because they're in a special day class all day. The next part is a special day class moderate severe program. And in the special day class moderate severe, these are students that have cognitive impairment, a severe cognitive impairment like intellectual disability, sometimes autism. Those are the students that are in the moderate severe program. And this is an all-day special day class as well. So there's 3 parts on the continuum. Then we also have a more restrictive environment where it is a non-public school, where the school is not able to provide the service that the student needs, and then we'll send them out to a non-public school, and the district has to pay for that because we can't service the student with the resources that we have. They need more intensive resources like maybe counseling. That is the continuum of special ed. Then we review the offer of FAPE, which is free and appropriate public education, which is what are we offering? We're offering the student general ed with RSP support, or we're offering the student a special day class mild moderate, or we're offering the student special day class moderate severe, or we're offering the student a non-public placement. And then you review the offer of FAPE to meet proposed goals. If anything else needs to be added, like additional supports needed, you talk about that. The next part will be reviewing the remaining pages of the IEP, which is like information, special factors, statewide assessments, review of notes taken during the meeting. So usually whoever has written the notes, they'll go over what was written in the notes section and review that. And then after we review that, we ask if parent is in agreement. Then we bring out the signature pages, which is parent consent. They sign the pages, everyone signs, and then meeting is adjourned. Woo! That was a lot, huh? So with that, that gives you kind of an insight of how an IEP meeting is ran with a school psychologist. So me, the school psychologist, I'm only at initial meetings, which is when they first go into special ed, if they qualify or not, and the 3-year reevaluation meeting, and that's the triennial IEP meeting. Those are the 2 main meetings that I attend. In an annual meeting, those happen every year. School psychologists, we don't have to be at the annual meetings unless needed. So that's just the gist of an IEP meeting. I hope that you got some insight on what it looks like to be in an IEP meeting, exactly what we do as in regards to the IEP meeting. If you have any questions about an IEP meeting, feel free to drop the questions below. Thank you again for tuning in to Be the School Psych. I'll be back next week with another video. Thank you. Bye-bye. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all those good things. And I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.